Well, poor Valtteri Bottas, we keep having this conversation every single year. Will Bottas stay on at Mercedes for another season? But this year, it seems like we're having it after only 6 races, but they have been a very interesting 6 races at that. Now, all this conversation about Bottas has started after some rumours, so in this video I'm going to have a look at them, see how both him and Russell have reacted in interviews regarding these headlines, just discuss different possibilities for 2022, as well as the potential for a mid-season swap. So the first people to rejuvenate the Russell at Mercedes next year rumours was Sky Italy, and they said Bottas Mercedes moving towards non-renewal of contract beyond the anonymous race in Azerbaijan. The future of the Finnish driver seems marked. Mercedes should not renew his contract for the next season. Russell ready. So that all seems a bit encrypted, maybe it's my poor Italian translation, but what it's basically claiming is that after another poor result in Baku, the Silver Arrows appear to be looking less favourably on a Bottas contract renewal. Now, you could argue anyone could write such rumours, but this was Sky, F1's biggest broadcaster, who wrote this. And Formula 1 themselves then came out with the article, Bottas expects to discuss Mercedes' future in next month or so. Now you might be thinking, wow, I wouldn't be expecting all these contract talks to be starting so early. But Mercedes were heavily involved in contract talks with the Finn around this time last season, with it rumoured that he was doing another year with the Brackley-based outfit in July, and the news was later confirmed then in August. Now of course it didn't take long for F1 media outlets to jump on the Bottas-Mercedes story, especially with Marco saying that the Finns' days are numbered at the dominant team, so of course Bottas and Russell faced questions about this in the Thursday press conference before France. Regarding the rumours, Valtteri told reporters, "With Toto, we speak often, that's normal for us, and we've spoken lately as normal, but I can't confirm those rumours. At least no one's told me. So yeah, that's not true. That's speculation, but those kind of speculations aren't made up of any facts. They're made up for the clicks, and that's how it goes. For now, the gut feeling is not saying anything about my future. I just want to win races and get the results that I'm aiming for personally. Everyone knows how the beginning of my season has been, and for sure some people have quite a short memory, therefore they forget why I have this bad result. Why I have this amount of points," he said. "So I want to make sure it's going to be an easy decision for Mercedes to keep me for the future. That's my goal, and that's the only thing really now on my mind, focusing on the next races, and go from there. I don't need to worry about whether it's going to be George, one possibility, or anyone else," Bottas added. "That's not my mind, I just want to win." So an interesting few lines from the 9-time winner there. Interestingly, he starts by saying the vague phrase, "I can't confirm those rumours," quickly followed up by, "at least no one's told me." The Finn almost tries to cover up any sort of Russell contract possibility, without ruling out the chance of such a decision being made behind the scenes. But then, almost thinking he didn't say enough, he quickly says that's not true, before changing the topic onto his thoughts for the season ahead. So what's the story like from Russell? What's his most likely replacement if he is to be dropped? "Obviously I'm aware of all this speculation, but right now I'm just enjoying driving race by race," said Russell. "Obviously I want to get my future nailed down at some point, but right now I'm just focused on this weekend. Nothing is set in stone for next year," Russell added. "I'm still a Williams driver, I haven't signed any contracts beyond this year, so I'm just fully focused on my job at the moment, and as I said, hopefully my future gets settled one way or another come the summer break." Now George has kept pushing the fact that he wants his future sorted by the summer. Of course he knows Bottas isn't in a good position right now, having finished out of the points in 3 of the last 6 races. So if he can pressure Wolff into picking a second driver as quickly as possible, he knows this will work to his advantage. So what is the likelihood we will see Russell in that Mercedes next season? Well, it's worth remembering just how bad Bottas' season has been so far. In Imola, he was struggling to do anything in the wet and ended up almost finishing out of the points before a crash with Russell took him out of the race. In Monaco, a wheel getting stuck on his car meant another non-points finish, and in Baku he was seemingly stuck behind Norris in the whole race, before an awful restart saw him drop back even further down, finishing the race in 12th on pure pace. Failing to score points in half the races so far, in what some would argue is the quickest car, as well as not finishing in the top 2 all season, means this is Valtteri's worst start to a year with the Silver Arrows, and he currently lines up in a lowly P6 in the driver standings, with less than half the points of teammate Lewis Hamilton and championship leader Max Verstappen. Now these lacklustre results have meant that some are wondering if he'll even get to the end of the season with Mercedes. Think about this, if Bottas keeps underperforming, therefore not helping Hamilton up front to get wins and take points off Red Bull, he might get the news sooner rather than later that his contract will not be renewed for 2022. especially as Russell's so keen to get contract talks started as soon as possible. Now, if Bottas knows he only has up until the end of the season to possibly get his final ever race wins, do you think he's going to play the team game and help Hamilton win his record-breaking 8th world title? Not the way he's been treated by the team so far, I don't. Would it not make sense for Wolff to bring in Russell for the second half of 2021, telling him if he helps Hamilton win the championship, he gets a contract for 2022 onwards? After all, this could be Hamilton's last chance to get the record-breaking 8th with Mercedes before the new regulations next season. If he doesn't like the feel of the new cars, or the Silver Arrows are uncompetitive next year, he might find himself keeping just his 7 titles. But honestly, is there any chance they'll swap Bottas for Russell mid-season? Toto said at the start of the year that there's only one team in F1 who swaps drivers mid-season, and that they don't do that. Also, Mercedes don't own Williams, so they'll have to convince them first. Although I can imagine that won't be too difficult. There's also still plenty of races to go, so you cannot write Bottas off yet. Let's not forget, it's only been 6 races. Sure, he was off the pace of Hamilton at Baku, but the tables had turned at Monaco and Hamilton was massively struggling compared to Bottas. Had the Finn not had that wheel problem, he would have raked in a ton of points over Lewis. And let's not forget that besides Saudi Arabia and Australia later down the year, there aren't really many other street circuits left on the calendar, with the likes of Singapore being cancelled. So Mercedes won't have the street circuit problem that they had in rounds 5 and 6, so Bottas is likely to perform better for the rest of the season. And remember, Bottas had these 1-year contracts before, so it's not like it will be impossible for his contract to be renewed at the end of the season, especially if he helps Hamilton to win that title this season. And technically, Hamilton has no contract and could retire at the end of the season, meaning both Russell and Bottas could drive for Mercedes in 2022, although I think this is unlikely as Hamilton wants a new contract by the summer. So what do I think is the most likely to happen? Well, from rumours in the paddock, it looks like Bottas will race until the end of the season before Russell replaces him from 2022 onwards. Valtteri looks a bit dejected at the moment. Some argue he's being alienated at Mercedes, and he looks more and more like an outcast at the Silver Arrows. He's been referred to as wingman, and Wolff blamed him for the Monaco incident, saying Bottas did not get in the right position at the pit stop and therefore the mechanics were chamfering from the nut. Then it turned out that he got up almost better than all of the other drivers and turned out to be one of the most accurate. But when Hamilton went straight on at the restart in Baku, Toto said no, it's a mistake, he was forced by Perez, who began to shift towards him. Lewis was forced to hijack the car, so he accidentally pressed the button. Among the increased amount of carelessness at Bottas' pit stops compared to Hamilton, and the lack of excitement by the team when the Finn takes pole, it looks like Valtteri's relationship with Mercedes is falling apart, and a split with Mercedes at least appears to be looking as likely as ever. So who do you think will be in that Mercedes next season? Let me know in the comments below, but on the way down make sure you hit the subscribe button and like the video if you found the video interesting. There are a couple of videos on screen now, but thanks for watching and goodbye.